Washington D.C. late night. Rain hit the glass windows of the federal briefing room like distant gunfire. Inside, a classified meeting was underway. No names, no headlines, only codes. At the center stood a man in a plain suit. Agent Derek Holloway, a field operative known for surviving missions that erased entire teams. He wasn't the best because he was the strongest. He was the best because he always finished alone. A folder was placed in front of him. Black cover. No markings except a single word. LUX-7. The director spoke coldly. "You're not going to like this assignment." Derek opened the file. Inside was a photo. A young woman. Calm eyes. Controlled expression. Academic profile. Dr. Elena Marlowe. A political analyst working on international conflict modeling. Derek frowned. "This is protection detail?" The director leaned forward. "This is containment." Silence. Then the line that changed everything. "She is not just an analyst. She is the only living key to a dormant global intelligence network that 3 governments went to war over, and then erased from history." Derek closed the file. "I'm not a babysitter." The director's voice dropped. "No, you're a shield." Scene 2, First Contact. Elena didn't look like someone who needed protection. She looked like someone who didn't believe in danger. When Derek met her outside the university archive building, she barely glanced at him. "You're late," she said. "I'm on time," Derek replied. She adjusted her glasses. "They sent a soldier. I've handled worse. I'm not a battlefield." Derek looked at her for a second. "That's what everyone says before they become one." She didn't respond. That was the first pattern he noticed. She didn't react emotionally. Not fear. Not curiosity. Not surprise. Just calculation. Like she already knew outcomes before they happened. And didn't like any of them. Scene 3, The First Threat. It happened on day 3. A black SUV without plates. No warning. Just acceleration. Derek reacted instantly. He pulled Elena down as the vehicle crashed into the sidewalk where she had been standing. Glass exploded. People screamed. But Derek wasn't looking at chaos. He was tracking patterns. Too clean. Too precise. This wasn't an accident. This was a message. He dragged Elena behind a pillar. "Stay down." She looked at him. Strangely calm. "They're not here for me," she said. Derek paused. "What did you say?" "They're here for what I accessed yesterday." He narrowed his eyes. "I thought you worked on theory models." Elena hesitated for the first time. Then quietly, "I lied." That was the first crack in the truth. Scene 4, The Hidden File. That night, Derek broke protocol. He accessed restricted intelligence on LUX-7. What he found didn't make sense. LUX-7 wasn't a person. It wasn't even a project. It was a predictive war intelligence system created during a global shadow conflict. A system that could simulate political futures with near-perfect accuracy. It had been shut down after causing 3 covert conflicts between allied nations, because whoever controlled it could shape wars before they happened. Then it vanished. Officially erased. But Elena had somehow reactivated fragments of it. Not intentionally, or so she claimed. Derek stared at the screen. "This isn't an academic problem," he muttered. "This is a global trigger." Scene 5, Forced Proximity. They moved her to a secure safe house. No windows. Controlled access. Armed perimeter. Elena hated it immediately. "You're imprisoning me." Derek stood by the door. "You're alive because of it." She walked past him. "You don't understand what I'm dealing with." Derek replied quietly. "I understand people trying to kill you." She stopped. For the first time, she looked at him differently. Not as protection, but as someone who had seen too much. Still, she said, "You don't understand what I am to them." Derek didn't answer, because that was the problem. He didn't, yet. Scene 6, The Political Layer. Meanwhile, the world outside was shifting. Secret diplomatic channels were activating. Unknown intelligence agencies were requesting asset retrieval. Even governments that officially denied LUX-7 existence were suddenly moving assets toward the same target. Elena Marlowe. Not to protect her, to control her, or eliminate her. Because a system that predicts wars also predicts political collapse. And Elena was the only known human interface to it. Scene 7, The Bond Forms, Against Will. Days passed. Tension turned into routine. Routine turned into awareness. Derek noticed something strange. Elena never slept deeply. Always half alert. Always listening. Not to threats outside, but to something internal. One night he asked, "What are you afraid of?" She answered without hesitation, "Outcomes." Derek frowned. "That's not an answer." "It is for me." Pause. Then she added quietly, "I see things before they happen. Not visions, probabilities." Derek studied her. "You're predicting outcomes." "No," she corrected. "I'm remembering futures that haven't occurred yet." That was the moment Derek realized. She wasn't just being protected. She was holding something unstable inside her mind. Something political systems would kill to control, and already had tried. Scene 8, The Breach. The attack came at night. Not loud. Not dramatic. Professional. Power cut first. Then comms. Then perimeter silence. Derek moved instantly. But it was already too late. The safe house was compromised. Black tactical units breached all sides. Not police. Not military. Something else. Elena stood in the center of the room, strangely calm again. "They're here for me," she said. Derek loaded his weapon. "They're not taking you." She looked at him. "You can't stop what's already decided." He snapped. "I don't care what's decided." That was the first time she smiled. Not happily, not sadly, but like she had just seen something resolve itself. Scene 9. The protection becomes war. The assault lasted minutes. But inside those minutes, everything changed. Derek moved through the structure like a ghost. Not reckless, controlled. Every action defensive. Never wasted, but always between Elena and danger. At one point, a breach team entered her room. Derek didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, blocked sightlines, redirected fire, removed threats. Not rage, not panic, just execution. When silence finally returned, the room was intact, but no longer safe. Elena stood behind him, still unharmed. She whispered, "You didn't have to do that." Derek reloaded. "Yes, I did." She asked, "Why?" A pause. Then Derek answered honestly, "Because you're still standing." That was the first time neither of them had a logical explanation for what they were doing. Scene 10. The truth revealed. Later, as extraction teams arrived, classified documents were leaked into the system. Elena finally told the full truth. LUX-7 wasn't just prediction. It was adaptive political modeling that influenced real-world decisions automatically through hidden channels. Meaning, wars were not predicted. They were subtly guided. And Elena's research had accidentally reactivated parts of it. Which meant every major power now believed she could reshape global stability, or destroy it. Derek finally understood the assignment wasn't protection. It was containment of perception, of fear, of geopolitical collapse. Final scene, the choice. At the extraction point, helicopters waited. Elena looked at Derek. "You'll leave now." Derek didn't move. "That's not how this works." She shook her head. "You were never supposed to get attached." He replied, "I didn't." A pause. Then softer. "I just stopped treating you like a mission." Elena looked away, for the first time, unsure. Because all probabilities in her mind showed one consistent outcome. Everyone eventually chooses themselves. Except him. The helicopter blades grew louder. Command came through. "Asset secured. Stand down." Derek looked at Elena, then stepped closer. Not as a soldier, not as an agent, but as something simpler. A shield that refused to move. And said, "If the world wants you, they'll have to go through me." Elena closed her eyes. And for the first time, she couldn't predict what came next.